This is the story of 4 Appalachian communities.
Brownsville, Pennsylvania.
Scott County, Tennessee.
Grundy, Virginia.
Coal River Valley, West Virginia.
And the people that are
Revitalizing downtown.
Growing community gardens.
Restoring watersheds.
developing trails.
Some have been there for generations.
Some of us for less than a year.
We face challenges.
But at the end of the day,
We are.
We are.
We are.
we are Appalachian Strong.
No use worrying all the time where that money went. Made a little, but it's always spent. No use worrying how we'll pay to fix out all cars.
The future of Scott County is kind of questionable right now. The last couple of years, we've been really hit hard with a lot of businesses and factories going under. And this town was built on the train coming through here brought a lot of business and factories through. But now the train, half the time it doesn't go through Scott County. There's different alternate routes, and there's just not a lot of factories. There's not a lot of work for people, and people are moving away.
We've had a lot of layoffs. We've had our hospital shut down, and sometimes we feel hopeless in this town, like it's not going to get better.
We have had the highest unemployment for 4 years in the state of Tennessee. We don't have our people educated like they need to be. It's hard to bring a factory in when you can't get enough workers to support those jobs.
And one of the largest challenges that we've had has been keeping kids coming to the Boys and Girls Club where their parents are no longer working.
I mean, there are so many families here that do not have nothing. I saw a lot of kids, because I would go on home visits, a lot of kids that did not have running water, no electricity. They went to the bathroom outside behind their house. And a lot of people don't see that, but it's here. It's here in Scott County. There's a lot of that going on.
It seems like here recently, this community has been hit pretty hard by sudden deaths, and you almost wonder if some of these could have been prevented if we had our hospital.
In spite of these challenges, many communities, like Scott County, have banded together to address the root causes of rural poverty.
So the Learning Center was founded to kind of level the playing field. The goal of the school was to take kids in an underserved area and catch them up to speed, make sure that they can sing their ABCs and hopefully start reading. I think, that's alleviating poverty in itself, is it's kind of breaking down the barriers that young children in underserved areas commonly have. The garden helps alleviate poverty in that you're exposing them and teaching them about healthy choices, and it's a lot of fun. Kids love getting their hands dirty. They love all of it, and I think that any experience that we can have fun with these kids is important and worthy.
My ultimate goal is that the kids will take what they're learning at the club home with them to spread their healthy lifestyle skills to their family unit, so that maybe the kids growing vegetables at the club will want to grow vegetables at home with their families to help feed their families. In Scott County, at least 36% of people in Scott County have food stamps. And looking at the amount of food and the types of food that can be bought with food stamps is very limited.
It's kind of unfortunate that some of the most accessible, some of the cheapest food is unhealthy food. And so if you're exposed to healthy options at a young age, hopefully you can make better decisions as you grow up.
Growing gardens will help stretch not only food stamps, but family budgets, and provide a healthy means to eat. So I'm hoping that ultimately the programs that I'm developing separately will mesh into this bigger idea to help alleviate poverty in the county and help out the kids at the club.
This is the biggest carrot I got up today. I was just over there in the razor beds, and I was looking at the carrots, and I just pulled one up. It was really big. I love eating them. They're really good.
In all honesty, the only way it's going to get better is we got to start with the little ones. We've got to build them up to make them see that there is better. There is better. They can be better. They can do better. They can be better. And if we start with that and we get that foundation laid down, then there is hope for Scott County.
That's what this school that Doyle's worked on. That's what we're fighting. We're starting for 2.5-year-old kids and saying, when you get to kindergarten, we want you competitive, and you're going to graduate. And when you graduate, we want you to go into college. And then we want you to come back and make this community a better place.
Back in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, Sarah Goods received disappointing news about her project, forcing her to create a Plan B.
Dennis, this is Norma Ryan in Brownsville. How are you doing? I have a question. We started about 4 or 5 years ago. We began with our AmeriCorps young people doing a river trail map for the Mid-Mon. We're almost in the process of having it printed, but we just spoke this morning with Amy from the Pennsylvania Environmental Commission, and she's telling us that in order to use that the logo, we have to be some type of designation.
I've been working on this river trail map for probably the entirety of my service here. Just today we found out that we actually have to be designated a Pennsylvania State Water Trail before we can be printing this map with the water trail like insignia and verbiage on it.
So how long does that take us? Because what's happening here, we just have a month and we're running out time with our grant.
It's a 6-month process to become designated as a water trail, and I've been previously told by multiple people that it kind of was supposed to go the other way around, that we had to have a map before we got the designation, and now the new information is that it's flip-flopped. So for a project that I feel like I've put a lot of work into and that I just really want to see done before I'm finished here in September, it's just really frustrating to have to deal with this. It definitely feels like a huge setback. I guess you just have to move forward when you're dealt blows like this. And I kind of wish I would have figured that out ahead of time, but I can't beat myself up about it. And we have to get this designation and just push through, and we had to make sure all our grants were not going to expire before we could use them for this map, and I think we're okay.
Setbacks on projects are not the only challenges team members encounter. Understanding underlying problems within the community and fighting for funding are hurdles that every team member must overcome during their year of service.
Working with a small organization with not a lot of manpower, things kind of get thrown at you last minute, and you just have to learn to roll with it and just prioritize, get things done when you can. So that's definitely been a big challenge, and it's taught me to be flexible and taught me to learn how to deal with feeling overwhelmed.
It's easy to lose sight of the mission, of the greater purpose, when you're essentially pushing paper around or fighting against a deadline that came up out of nowhere, or something blocks your way. I mean, I guess I hoped and imagined that working at a nonprofit, everything would always be smooth and everybody would always be cooperative, but I found that just like any other workplace, that's not necessarily the case. It is often a challenge getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody to work together, and not just within the nonprofit, but as a VISTA within the whole community. Really, the whole community is the target. So the biggest surprise as a VISTA with ACCT was that I actually did come to depend on the support office more than I probably expected that I would in the beginning. It becomes very important to have that support network surrounding you, and I think that I was shocked myself when I find myself calling up the support office and needing somewhat of a shoulder to cry on.
In addition to pursuing food security and struggling to overcome last-minute project snags, team members battle water quality issues such as acid mine drainage and inadequate sewage disposal in the fight for clean water.
Clean water is something that can often be taken for granted. Growing up in Texas, drought is an everyday fact of life that people in other parts of the country have totally different water issues. Here in West Virginia, I have a good friend who grew up on a creek that was orange from acid mine drainage.
Coal River is integral to the economy, to the education, to the recreation of the area.
When I was mayor, I got a phone call from Dean Braley, who's written a book about the river. The question was, is it safe to swim in the river? And our answer was, yeah, I think so. Well, what do you base that on? Well, nobody had any samples, nobody had any proof that it was safe to swim in the river. My standard answer became, it's hazardous to your health. At long-term exposure, it causes you to get fat and get very heavy.
The biggest single issue on any river is E. coli, sewage management, sewage control.
Depending on where you are on the Coal River, it can be very, very clean, or it can be filthy. And the filthiest part of the river is from Browns Creek down to the mouth. There are too many straight pipe locations where they dump their sewage straight into the river, and that has killed the river on down.
It's a challenge because of the terrain. I mean, this is a horribly difficult terrain to build sewer lines in. So we keep looking at different ways to bring sewer to isolated homes, of clusters of 5 or 6 homes.
I have been working on the Coal River's first watershed-based plan. So this plan will cover the failing sewer and septic systems on Browns Creek, which is one of our biggest tributaries and has one of the biggest fecal coliform contamination problems in the entire watershed.
One of our major projects was helping the Greater St. Albans PSD to get a $20 million grant to build a sewer system. That sewer system is starting to be completed, so that part of the river, for the most part, will be cleaned up.
We want to call people's attention to the fact that when they live on the tributaries of Coal River, that they take great care in what goes into the river and keep it clean.
3 hours south, in Grundy, Virginia, Jessica Brown has confronted her own set of personal challenges and project setbacks.
Hi, I'm Jessica Brown. I am originally from Spirit Lake, Iowa, and I'm currently serving as an AmeriCorps OSM Vista with the town of Grundy in Virginia. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was in 6th grade. Through that process, we learned of all the good that the American Cancer Society does, and wanted to give back to them for helping my mom out so much. And my mom actually started our county's Relay for Life. That really just taught me the value of volunteering and giving back to not just people but the whole community and bringing them together through volunteering.
Those who call the coal fields home are no strangers to economic booms and busts. But through it all, towns like Grundy continue to move forward towards a more prosperous future.
The biggest challenge is with the coal market. When the coal's up, we're fine. When the coal's down, we're down.
Some of the challenges, especially as being a small business owner, is the economy.
Probably the biggest challenge is that there's really a lack of industry, especially with the coal industry declining.
You got to drive like 2 hours to get anywhere from here.
Your car will never be in alignment. There's constant construction going on with the flood-proofing project and moving the highway.
I think lots of times kids feel like the only 2 choices they have are the coal mines or the military.
So we're in a distressed county, and part of that is bringing everyone back together again. I was sent here to work on community development and the development of a river walk. When I first signed on to the project, I thought it would be a big Healthy Futures in Appalachia, and it's turned into something that the community can rally around. There's a group of businesses that have been rerouted, so they're now the business district and they're not on the main drag. So they've lost a lot of revenue by this, and they've actually come as an association to talk about how we can extend this project, from the beautification side of it all the way down. So if we can't do it here, we're going to do it down there.
Right now, our biggest thing is retail, bringing in retail to attract new businesses or manufacturing or some type of high-tech company to come into this area. Because when a company comes into an area, they look about what kind of infrastructure you've got. They look at what if you've got an airport. They look if you've got, you know, places and things for your employees to do while they're here.
Grundy is the seat of the county, and people come here every now and then when they have courthouse issues. But we have more to offer here, and we want to show that to everyone. That's especially why we're trying to tie into those old businesses to bring their revenues back up and to keep the new businesses involved in the process as well. And they're really excited to tie in, you know, the healthy futures, the walking, and to go not only to the new businesses but to some of the old parts of Grundy and to enjoy what the whole city has to offer.
There's people that walk Grundy, but the condition of the sidewalks is kind of poor in some places, and there isn't a whole lot of connectivity. So the idea is to put in like a fitness trail that maybe is a little more aesthetically pleasing. This is the site of our new memorial plan. It'll continue down into the business district. As you can see, we've already got the sidewalk, but it's definitely relatively flat for the layout of Grundy, and there's a ton of space to work with, so we can get community input and figure out a space that everybody can use.
So far, it's been a lot of ups and downs. The location has changed. The scope of the project has changed, and money's been hard to find. It would cost more than $1 million to get it the way it looks on this plan. But we've started rescoping the project to work for this year and for what monies are available.
Team members face a variety of challenges during their year of service. Not the least of these is learning to survive on the small living allowance equal to 110% of the local poverty level. For Appalachian coal country team members, that means living on less than $900 a month.
When I first got here, that was my thing, is I'm not going to let my parents help me anymore. I'm going to really devote myself to this 1 year of living in poverty. Like, that's what this whole Vista thing is about, and I'm going to do it. My boss helped me find a place to live that he knew the person who worked there, and they gave me like $50 off in rent, which every little bit helps at this point. So over half of my paycheck goes to rent. And that was a choice that I made very early on. But that was my first big budget decision, was to spend so much money on rent. And where's food coming from, and where's all this and that coming from? So after that, I knew that I had to get on food stamps. And that was going to be kind of live or die kind of a thing, whether this was really going to work. So the hardest thing for me to get over this year was the passing of my boss. Sorry. I got here in July at the very end, and he was the first face that I saw in Grundy. Roger Powers made sure that I had a place to stay and put me up in a hotel. He made sure that I was taken care of, and he's done that ever since. And it was tough to kind of try to balance work life and home life, and he helped me a lot with that transition. So it was really rough to lose him. This year in Appalachia has brought me to realize more than I ever could about, you know, humanity and the people that are so generous. You know, people who have nothing here would help you out on your best day.
My 1994 Ford Escort died. It blew a head gasket, and I was stranded in Nashville with my girlfriend for 3 days. And that was the worst, seeing my car die, and I left it in a Firestone parking lot in Nashville. I'm in the process of buying a Ford Fusion. It's 14 years younger than my Escort was. It's not bashed in on one side, and it's not bright fluorescent blue. And I hate it. I just don't like it. I miss my old car. But this one will probably get me back across the country, which is good.